Coffee is big business. It's the second largest trade commodity in the world after oil, and the second most popular drink after water, which puts the average coffee drinker at 8 cups of coffee per week. Looking at your typical cafe environment, 90% of the hot beverages sold contain milk, and many of the most popular beverages, such as lattes, cappuccinos, and flat whites, have a higher milk to coffee ratio, which is a clear indication that the coffee world has an effect on the dairy industry. After surveying 24 different cafes in our local area, we found a majority claimed to use 36 to 40 litres of milk each day. That's approximately 20 separate 2-litre bottles per cafe, and although more than half claimed to have a recycling scheme, 72% of those surveyed also said they would likely throw the empty containers into the general waste if busy, leaving a huge number of milk containers ending up in landfill. Most cafes are more loyal to their milk suppliers than their coffee suppliers, with over 90% claiming to have used their milk supplier for more than 3 years. However, when asked the reason why, their decision often came down to price and reliability, not sustainability and environmental benefits. So when new products are introduced into the market that may be more environmentally friendly, if it is more costly, then chances are cafe owners won't opt for it. When speaking to the actual baristas who work in these cafes, the majority didn't see a problem with either using HDPE milk bottles or throwing the empty containers in the general waste. So let's look at the dairy product itself. There are 6 definable types of packaging that exist in the milk industry at the moment, which include the most popular HDPE bottle, glass, PET bottles, pillow pouches, screw-top cartons, and gable-top cartons. Although glass would be the most obvious way to minimize the environmental impact through reuse and recycling, it is unfortunately not the most practical material in a busy cafe environment. The more common HDPE bottles are perhaps better suited for these conditions, as their durability and textured material helps protect the milk from going off. However, looking at the bigger picture, 90% of the bottle lids aren't being removed, which is a key step in the process of effective recycling. This leaves only 35% of the HDPE bottles ultimately being recycled. Furthermore, the salvaged material will not be made into other milk products, but instead will be turned into pellets that are made into outdoor plastic furniture, as it does not comply with the strict guidelines in place for the manufacture of food products from second-hand sources. PET bottles can be more easily recycled but consume more embodied energy if they aren't, and they are not as effective at blocking light to help keep milk fresh and rich in vitamins, which isn't ideal in busy cafe environments. The pillow pouch has the greatest potential to save materials and costs, using far less energy than the HDPE bottles. The only issue is that they are hard to store, handle, and can't be easily resealed. The screw and gable-top cartons are ideal for refrigerated and aseptic use, and can be easily stored. An added advantage is that the materials used to create gable-top containers are obtained from renewable forest resources. But while these cartons can be recycled, it takes a large amount of processing to separate the multiple materials that make up these containers, including paper, plastic, and aluminium. Most recycling centers just don't have the facilities to separate these layers, ultimately leaving them to end up in landfill. 4 of the surveyed cafes said that they returned their empty milk cartons to the vendor, but these bottles cannot be crushed, and at times this can present a major issue for small cafes who don't have a lot of space to spare to store the bottles and keep them intact. Recently, a company tried to resolve the issue with a system called the Juggler, a milk pump system developed by Single Origin Roasters. The system uses a type of bladder that pumps both skim and full cream milk, using 10-litre bags instead of 2-litre jugs, which is the current industry standard. While the system offers a lot of advantages by being both convenient and ecologically friendly, it's still a long way from achieving widespread use. Firstly, the system is incredibly expensive, costing close to $10,000, a price that would easily scare off many small and independent cafes, and although the product claims to offer savings in the long run, to most cafe owners the return doesn't justify the price. Also, these systems are very large and require a specific refrigeration system to be installed, which most small cafes don't have the space to accommodate. What soon became clear from surveying the cafes in our local area was that the majority considered issues like recycling and conservationism to be a relatively low priority when it comes to running their business. The ideal solution to the problem is one that will be affordable, convenient, space efficient, and sustainable. We hit the streets and spoke with several cafes, and most agreed there needed to be some sort of middle ground for a more sustainable solution to milk waste.
When it comes to recycling, I don't think there's, for the hospitality industry, specifically with small cafes, I don't think there's many solutions out there, like apart from the standard ones that are provided, to everybody, and like most businesses and private residences. I've actually been speaking about this to my friends who owns another cafe in Newtown, and it's actually quite frustrating because we're both, very into like keeping it green and recycling, and there's no options for us out there.
From all this research, the solution soon became clear. Presenting Milkdrop, a new and innovative product that will simply and efficiently help to reduce milk waste. The new system has several components, all designed to be user-friendly and sustainable. The first is a new packaging solution for the milk. The new packaging is made from a flexible plastic that is designed to be stronger than typical pillow pouch solutions, and is more similar to the kind of plastic found in stand-up pouches. When compared to other types of milk packaging, it has a much smaller carbon footprint, and even the possibility to be carbon neutral, as it is made from less materials, sealed through heat rather than adhesives, and can be flattened after use. This feature is what puts it well ahead of the more common HDPE bottle, as storing the empty milk packaging will no longer present an issue. It also greatly reduces the carbon footprint attributed to the transport of the product, as being able to store the packaging flat, and its lighter weight will reduce the amount of trips needed at the beginning and end of the product's life cycle. The top of the packaging has a concave tip made out of a thicker amount of plastic. This tip is specifically shaped to easily slide onto a snap lock rack supplied with the product. This rack can be fitted into almost any fridge, just by hooking it onto the existing fridge racks. The packaging then slots in and hangs from the rack, spreading most of the contents lengthwise and making it more space efficient. The packaging will have minimal labeling, color-coded to represent the type of milk contained, be it regular, skim, or soy, over a predominantly white plastic, which will give the look of freshness but also effectively block out the light that would destroy the milk's quality. Being carbon neutral means that the barista can throw the empty packaging into the general waste if they are busy or do not have a recycling scheme. To deliver the milk, the classic crate is modified, left open on the sides instead of the bottom. The packaging will hang on 4 rows and can be released from manually opening a hatch at the top. This crate can also be folded flat if the support insides are turned, making them more space efficient for storage in confined spaces. The 3-way milk dispenser that comes free with the first initial sign-up can either sit comfortably next to any coffee machine or can be hung on any free wall space. The dispenser is easier than pouring a jug of milk, it's simple and easy to function. Just by inserting the milk bags into each designated slot, the bag is then pierced, and when milk is needed, it's simply released with a push of a lever. The dispenser is also made from stainless steel, allowing it to be insulated to keep the milk cool, easy to clean, and also highly durable. The new package, design, delivery, and storage system creates broad and viable opportunities for Milkdrop to establish and further their brand and service in a range of ways. The packaging and storage of the Milkdrop milk brand has the potential to fit into the residential milk market quite easily. The packages can be easily stored into commercial fridges that will allow supermarkets to display and sell the milk. As well as moving into the home market, the packaging materials also allow the consumer to simply dispose of the empty pillow in the general waste, rather than separate the cap from the carton in order to properly recycle the empty packages. Milkdrop. When it comes to sustainable packaging, there really is no other option.